Hello, career thought leaders. It's good to see you today. And we are going to be talking about AI efficiency or illusion. And this idea is I've heard a lot of people talking about things they're creating with AI, or they want to do vibe coding, they want to do Claude code. And here's the thing, there's a lot of good ways to make things more efficient. And let's think about where we want to put the emphasis, because some of what we are struggling with may be putting our efforts and our focus, and therefore the job seeker's focus, in a place that we don't want it, sometimes because it's the low-hanging fruit. Let's talk a little bit about this kind of efficiency issue. So applications are up 3 to 4 times. We've seen that. We've seen recruiters talking about how they're deprioritizing online applicants. It doesn't mean we shouldn't apply online. And yes, we might want to make that more efficient, but we're applying to an online job where we have less than a 5% chance of getting that job. And if we are spending our focus there, if we're spending our time, our effort, our money there, are we really making it more efficient, or are we just focusing there because it's fun and easy? And this may be a very typical trap for our technology clients, because creating an app that targets and optimizes your resume is a lot more fun than actually getting out there and networking and doing the things that we know actually result in more job direction, right? More job momentum. So if AI makes it easier to apply, are we just accelerating the noise? And as I was kind of researching this, there is some material out there by Peter Drucker, who's a management consultant. And I just loved this quote, and I'm going to share it with you. It's a little take off of his quote, but this idea that if we are focused on creating efficiency in the wrong place, is it actually adding value? And so this idea of, is it efficiency applied to the wrong place, is illusion of progress. And again, this may be a very easy trap for our clients to fall into if they are technical. And I've heard this from a lot of coaches, like, oh, my client is, my client wants to build an app, or they're building an app to manage their job search applications. Is that where we want them putting their time, their effort, their energy? Yes, they are maybe eventually going to have something that makes that part faster, but all the work and all the effort we put into that is towards an activity that we know is the lowest ROI activity in job search. Do we want to be applying online? Yes. Can we speed it up? Yes. But is creating a vibe coded app really the best way to do that? And I'm going to talk about why here in just a second, because there may be easier, faster ways to make that process faster, so that we don't spend a bunch of time optimizing and creating an app and all of that for those things. You still may want to do that, but let me show you a GPT that I created in less than 30 minutes that will do a lot of that for people without having to worry about vibe coding and paying for a hosted vibe code and all of that. Now, of course, it is a custom GPT, so you'd have to have the paid version of GPT, of OpenAI, to create one yourself. However, in the free version of Gemini, you can create gems. There's a lot of other options that are faster and easier and free to do this and make it happen. And if you already have a paid ChatGPT account, you can create the GPT and not add to your financial burden. And if you wanted to pay for an app to optimize your resume, there's already a bunch of them out there that people have been working on for 2 years, 3 years now, that, do we really need to recreate the wheel for ourselves, or are we wasting our time there? So let me show you, we created this custom GPT a while ago. It's called the Career Strategy GPT. As of right now, it's available inside 2 coaches inside of our AI training program, and to their clients, because they can use it and share it with their clients. So here's what we created. And again, you could create your own very easily if you have the paid version of any of these AI tools. So the Career Strategy GPT has a back end behind it that asks certain questions and has the prompts that I use on a regular basis behind it in terms of research and strategy. So I was just playing around with this before we got on so that you wouldn't have to sit through me typing. And what I did is at the very beginning, let's say a client has a job description they want to target their resume to. This is the thing a lot of people are trying to vibe code right now. Here's an easy way to do it, right? I always start with the industry research. So the Career GPT is asking me for that industry. And today I posted in the job description that I was targeting at a company. This is just some random job description that matched a client's old resume that I have anonymized to be able to use in these types of things. So I get the job description, I put that in, and the Career GPT analyzes it for me and tells me the industry and business context, the macro trends, the business priorities and KPIs, what's going on in the organizational and technology landscape, risks, emerging opportunities, and then the implications specifically for this role. And then it asked me some questions that could add more context. If I had more time, I would have dug a little bit deeper into the macro trends. I felt like that was a little bit light. And then I would have dug a little bit more into what actually keeps the hiring manager for this role up at night. What are their challenges? Those types of things. So now we're not just targeting the resume to a job description. We're targeting the resume to the bigger implications of what's going on in that industry, in that role. It makes it for a more strategic process than just, target keywords. So then I put in the resume, again, anonymized. I prefer to copy and paste so that we are really in control of what data goes in here. We can change out company names, et cetera, if we need to. And we know that there's not any, latent properties or anything being carried through with a document I'm attaching. So then it tells me how to align my resume to that job description. It talks about what they're really looking for, and then how to reposition my headline, my executive profile. Yes, we could put in more prompt, but it's always going to do some of the things it loves to do, regardless of our prompt being overly verbose and a little bit much, a little bit much in its writing, which is why I don't recommend having a tool do this for you. Instead of having it target your resume, ask it to point out where your gaps are, where your great points are, and then you do the editing. Because otherwise, copying and pasting this into a resume, it's a whole bunch of generic junk with a few little things thrown in to make it not sound generic. That's what AI writes. That's just what it does. So it does a great job of doing the analysis. I would create something that just does the analysis and doesn't actually do the rewriting. I specifically asked it to do the writing today so that we could see the downsides of letting it do the writing versus just having it do the analysis. But this is all easy, right? You could do this with prompts very easily. And if we are targeting our applications, this should not be a high volume activity in your job search anyways. So now we're spending time creating an app or vibe coding or whatever for a process that we really shouldn't be spending that much effort on anyways. And that with a few prompts, you could accomplish in the free version of an AI generative tool, or with the paid version, you could create a gem, a GPT for yourself using those prompts to make it faster and more efficient. So where might we want to spend some time actually creating something that helps people with a process that they struggle with? This is where I would recommend, if you're a job seeker, if you are a career service provider, to dig in a little bit more and think about what are those places where we do want to add value. Because customizing a resume, writing cover letters, which AI, they always sound horrible. They take a lot of editing, keyword optimization, mass application, All of those things are pushing us into the low ROI bucket. Do we want to do them? Yes. But the more thoughtful and strategic we are in doing them, the better our outcomes will be. So handing that off to a bot may not be the best place to be doing it. So what are some of the things that people really struggle with that we could dig in more and add more value in? So maybe an app or a GPT that helps people do the research, building on our career strategy GPT, do the research, and then the things they struggle with, finding networking opportunities, finding online communities and niches to network in, finding places where they might connect with recruiters, researching people to network with, creating sound bites for their networking. All of those things can help us with things people struggle with. They struggle with networking. They don't want to put the effort in there. They, are going to hesitate on what to say or where to go. If we can create tools and structures and apps that do that, it's actually going to put more focus, more attention, and more speed into the activities that make a difference. If I'm going to be networking, how can I do it better, faster? Well, I can translate that research into great questions to ask, right? My next prompt in ChatGPT could be that I'm going to an event and where someone's going to be from this company. What are some of the ways that I can stand out? So for instance, and you could again create an app that does this, create a GPT that does this. We've got the company research. We've even got a job description, which we wouldn't need for this use case, but we'll continue on. And then we put in the person's resume, right? So I've got all that background in here. So I could say that, I'm going to a networking event where I'll get to meet some of these people. And then based on the job description and the resume, what questions should I ask and what talking points should I share? So I can type that in and get more, like this is the stuff our clients really struggle with, right? Based on the resume, what talking points I was doing I was playing around with some communications training tools as we were doing our interview preparation course. And one of them is an app, right, that you find on Facebook or whatever. There's a try it out. And it was talking about small talk. And it literally had in the training of this app, the Ford model. We used to teach that for small talk, right? When have you been here and how long have you been here? And all of the questions that you can ask that are small talk. But what I love about this type of tool that we could create using AI is that it gets much more specific in the research. And I would prefer to ask these types of questions. So we've said we're going to a networking event based on the resume. What talking points could I speak to? And then what questions could I ask? So it's going to give me some talking points. I'd probably not want to say these things verbatim, but they give me some ideas of things that I might speak to, specific projects that might be most of interest. And then it's going to give me some questions to ask that I would much rather ask at a networking event than, how many times have you been to this event? So what's going on in your company? Are you seeing more compliance-driven initiatives or, what's driving your initiatives right now? If we know where we're going and we know we're going to be talking to people in these types of industries, we can ask questions that they might actually want to talk about, right? And if I was in this industry, as my client would be, they would know what's an appropriate level question and what might be a sensitive question to ask. But we've got a lot of different ideas to bounce off of and ask questions that are more engaging, that actually show we have some knowledge of the industry, and gives us the opportunity to stand out, even in the questions that we ask, without even having to have the elevator pitch. That's perfect, right? And so these are the types of things that I would encourage us to be thinking: how can we put more effort into the job search areas that people struggle with, that are higher ROI, like networking, referrals, online communities, all of the things that are actually going to make them stand out in the noisy application world today. Put your efforts in there and help them put their efforts in there. So if you're working with someone who's a whiz at technology and they want to do a vibe coded app, great. Let's think about how that app could help you network, find communities, connect with recruiters, connect with peers, because those are the activities that research and data shows us lead to jobs faster, lead to jobs most often. And then, yes, we can also set up some systems that streamline your online applications, but we probably want to put less effort even into creating those systems, because if you focus there, that's where you will spend your time. And, debugging or dealing with the security issues in your new vibe coded app related to online applications is sucking more time into that low ROI activity. So I love this idea. We're going to be playing around more with GPTs. Haven't quite got into vibe coding for myself yet, but as we're experimenting with these things, I just had to stop myself and ask, where does it make sense to put this effort? And I'd encourage you to have that same conversation with yourself if you're vibe coding out there, and let us know what you're doing and what cool things you're finding. And if you're talking to clients who are doing this, how can they do it in a way that adds value? So we've got 2 things that you can take advantage of today that will help you in this process. So our AI credentials, where you get access to these GPTs and the prompts that we're using. If you haven't checked those out, check those out. You can always use the Thanks 20 code to get $20 off. If you're in one of our membership groups, shoot us a message and we'll get you the code to take 10% or more off, depending on the membership that you're in. So that's the one thing that we'd love for you to share if you're interested. And then the other thing is our relaunched. So this used to be the social media for job search strategist. We are relaunching it as a micro-credential, digital tools in job search strategy, giving you the things that you need to help a person understand the new LinkedIn, both on the recruiter side as well as on the user side, the algorithm, the way that it wants you to throw out certain signals around your expertise, not just keywords. Then we're going to dive into the LinkedIn jobs feature, some of the Facebook secrets that people still aren't using to unearth things that they may not find other places. We're going to go through some of those, communities and niche forums. How do you help people find those? How do they make the most of them? And then really, because all of these things, especially online, tap into our fear, our vulnerability, the way things live online forever. How do we help people overcome that? And it goes across all the age groups for totally different reasons. How do we help them overcome that so they can use these digital tools to their advantage? So we're going to start that live on March 5th. It will also be available as a self-paced program and giving you the latest information. Monthly office hours, just like our AI micro-credential includes, so that we can stay up on all of this great stuff. If you are a social media job search strategist already, don't go out and do this, because you are going to get grandfathered in here to the first year. And you'll see down here that our career industry authority folks and our graduates of our certifications get a significant discount. So if you're interested in this, reach out to us and we'll give you that discount code. Happy vibe coding. Go out there and enjoy all these new tools. But remember that efficiency is only effective if it's in the direction where you're actually going to get some results. So put that effort in where the results will follow, and hit us up. Let us know what you're doing, what you're coding, what you're playing with that's adding value for you and your clients right now. Thank you, everyone. Have a great weekend. We'll see you for Trend Tuesday Live on Tuesday.